welcome. Welcome to Day Trading Radio After Hours, where anything can happen. Tonight I'm going to be working on a watch list that goes out with the HPS watch list. You know, basically the HPS watch list goes out every Friday. And I want to start it early today. I want to finish it tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a whole day of research that we do put into the HPS watch list, and it goes out for the following week. And it contains all the stocks that fit the criteria for a high probability setup. And that is a methodology that's taught here at Day Trading Radio that we trade with. So with that said, markets are live right now. It's a Thursday evening, 7:22. Give a shout out to everyone in the room at Day Trading Radio. I'll just give a shout out to you guys out there. Let me see what's going on. Oh, that's my Veru after hours thing. We were looking at. Oh, Dak texted me, said more Veru insiders again at $1.87. Harry Fitch, I think he was picking it up. We'll talk more about that maybe. Let me see what we got here. I never canned beer for Rockstar. To start your show, I showed you the day. What is that? I'm trying to catch up with everyone here. I have a Coke in front of me anyway. So we're going to talk about some research. Always want to look at the previous day. And again, what today's show is about is research techniques, how I do some research. I do research all the time. But the majority of the research I do on Friday going into the next week. And I put a lot of hours in. I put at least 8 hours on a Friday looking at the setups going into Monday and going into the next week. And I usually start off with a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, which I have in front of me right here, sound effects. And then I split that into different sections. And I just write lines down at maybe four different sections, maybe 5 different sections. Then I cut it in half so it breaks it down to 8 all different sections. Each section I label. So I label HPS setups, current HPS setups, divergences, DIV divergences, channels, CANNE, channels, potential divergences. I always have a section for. I feel like it's gonna give me a divergence, but it hasn't set up yet. That's my top, and then the other ones are examples. These are stocks that I've set up, and I look back at them and I see great setups that I just maybe didn't point out, but I write them down so I can point them out and use them for education. And then let me see what else I usually put on it. It really depends. They change up all the time. I gotta look at my old sheets, but again, HPS, divergences, channels. Shorts. I usually put a column for shorts, and then future, 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 and then maybe something else. So basically, I'm going to start going through all these stocks that I typically trade. And if I look at them and I decide this is how, like I said today, I go through about 200 stocks that I really rotate through, probably a little bit more, but I could call my stocks that I tend to get into out of this big basket of stocks. So I try to rotate and scan through all those, and from those, anything that fits this criteria of 8, I start putting in there and narrowing it down. And then from that point, I'll do another scan, or I'll do another visual scan of how the setups are setting up, and from that, we're going to try to get down to the 10, about 10 great setups for next week. Really good setups. And it might not be 10. You don't want to force anything. You don't want to put anything out there that doesn't deserve to be out there. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Now, there's all different ways I go about this. I tend to have some scans. I use the TC2000 platform, which is this platform, TC2000. I pay for it. I have no partnership with them or anything. They should partner with me, but I I pay for it, and they have a good scan. They have what's called an easy scan, and you can make these scans, create a new scan, and you could basically add a condition. The conditions could be, formula. You can make your own formulas. It's a really good scan. I have been using this for a couple years now, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 years. Kind of expensive. I think it's, I don't know what it is myself. How much do I pay for it? I pay about like $100 for it a month, but it saves a lot of time. It does definitely saves a lot of time. So I put together some scans and stuff that I use to help me, and I have them automated, so they pop out if they give me something, a divergence scan or anything like that. Actually, we have a divergence scan in Walmart showing up today. And Walmart kind of gapped down on the news that there was some whistleblower and talking about inflated, revenues. So something came out on Walmart, and Walmart sold off pretty hard and then came back. But during that whole process of doing that, it set up a divergence. And our divergence setup is basically a formula that measures the price versus the stochastics. Now, if the price are moving lower and the stochastics have moved higher, then you start to see a divergence. And as you can see here, stochastics on the daily have this kind of upward bias here. It hasn't really crossed over. We made a low. That's why we're probably seeing this start to register on my divergence scan. Oh my God, Viljar's going to say he's going to take a drink every time I say divergence. That's going to be a tough one. Oh, yeah. Oh. Coke is good. So that's a couple of my scans that I use. Now, I did a full scan yesterday, so there's not much out there to follow up with. But I did do a full scan yesterday. That can be found on the YouTube channel. That's yesterday's video. I didn't post it out there. It was kind of a late night. I was just starting to, feel inspired looking at this market and seeing how this market has been reacting. Now, again, the first thing I always do is look at the current market conditions. And if we look at this thing, you're going to see a lot of lines, all right? A lot of lines. Each line is really important. We have this old channel breakout, and then we had this pivot area here, 1, 2, and then we had this underline. It was a kind of a wedge pattern, and this really confirmed itself because we had a nice pullback and we held, and this X marks the spot really confirmed itself on the daily, and we popped up and we got back up to this trend line and we pulled back, and now we're on the trend line. So this is, it's acting pretty good. The problem is this could be seen as a bearish, definitely a bearish setup. Our daily has gotten extended and starting to turn it over. And with that, we actually had a bearish candle that's top us out, which typically, and an area of resistance. So this was really a high probability sell zone up here. It was obvious to see it. It was harder to believe it because, the market was showing some good strength. And there's always news out there. There's a different type of market. But technically speaking, if we're just going by technicals and the things we pay attention to, this would be a sell signal up here. And we did pull back. Now the question is, where does the buy the dippers come in? We're at an important level. The daily here is still negative, so we have to mark that down in the negative column. The 60-minute is bullish, though. And it's even more bullish because it's actually, lots of times that 60-minute will come down and chop around, but very rarely does it last a few days before starting to grind back up. And this has actually gone through a couple days here. Not to say it's the ultimate indicator, but it is on our side. If we decide to turn back up here, we could actually get a nice rotation and algorithms will start to pick up. So let's see. So that looks okay. Again, that's the S&P 500 going into tomorrow. So we like that. We do like that 60-minute time frame. 5-minute time frame. Well, it wasn't giving us much today. It's been chopping around. We're not going to look too much at it. We're going to look at some stocks though. So that's the first thing I normally want to do is find out what the bias for the market is. The market here Short, daily here negative, 60-minute time frame positive, 5-minute. It doesn't really matter. The overnight trade and possible news here, we'll see. 3 o'clock is when the market really, 3:30. That time frame is really where we'll start to see the market really get active. And now we're starting to grind up here. We're at the highs of the session. I mean, who knows? The market could open up 30 points higher tomorrow on the S&P. So we're going to continue on now. So I want to show you a couple of the research techniques that I start off with. First of all, I have a list of stocks. I'll bring those list of stocks up for you. It's called my HPS watch list, and there's 203 stocks, and it goes from A to Z, all the way from Advanced Auto Parts to Apple, Alexion, AbbVie. You just name some of the great stocks, and it's in that list. Biogen, Berkshire Hathaway, C's, Clorox, ConocoPhillips, D's, Deutsche Bank, Dollar General, Discovery, right down the list. So you're basically talking about really good stocks. You're not talking the crap stocks out there or anything really risky. These are blue chip, big cap, usually the stocks that I'm going through. So going through that with a visual scan is easy enough. And with that visual scan, you start to write down some stocks. And when I'm looking for a visual scan, I'm looking for a few different things. Basically, anything that falls into the criteria we're looking at. Recognizable patterns, overbought, oversold levels, depending on which direction we're trading. What I've been seeing here is most stocks have been extended and are pulling back off their highs. That makes things a little bit more difficult. Every situation, all these stocks are all pulling back. ADM here, we talked about that. We talked all of these potential topping head and shoulder patterns. There's not much here that we're looking at divergence and buy-side divergence. So you got to think that until we get those set up, we're a little bit. I would say more people are feel a little bit more comfortable on taking those longs. It's just the way it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just I know traders, and that's what we see. So we look for these opportunities, these pullbacks on quality names. Quality names are stocks that are trading in an upward trend over the last year. There's quality names out there that are trading in a downtrend too. But the ones you want to have the edge on is you're going to have that edge. Good strong stock buying a pullback, that's an edge right there. So I've gone through a lot of these, and the majority of these have set up to the downside, and there wasn't many that were really very bullish. Now CBS is interested on the support line there. I mean, that would catch my eye. I know Carnival Cruise Line, just by my being familiar with patterns and doing this for so long, it's something I would start to, look at. There's definitely an established trend line, but it's overbought, starting to pull back. We're holding above the 200 period moving average. There's other levels we want to watch. There's a big candle down here, a big spike candle. I don't know if I'd put too much into that. There's a little pivot here. I'd look more towards this trade like this and not count this candle. But I want to be, just understanding of this pattern playing out. So I'll probably write this one down as a future setup. So I'll go over to my potential or future setup and I'll put CCL down, knowing that I want to continue to watch it for the rest of the week and just keep it on my watch list. Now it's also if it does get down here, it's definitely going to be a trade. There was a divergence back here, very strong divergence. That was the low. It's not a divergence here, but if we do get down here for some reason, we do have a divergence. This is a trade I definitely would take. So it's money in the bank. We'd let it mature. We'll let that mature. Gas, I got your message now. I'll think about that. I wanted to just continue on just doing a kind of an outline for research tonight. But Gas suggested if we see a setup on the ES to take it and just kind of put a wish order in and see if we get it and let it ride out, make it interesting. I'll definitely look at that if we do see something. Market here pushing higher actually, so it's looking pretty strong right now. No, I'm not drinking, Anthony. I have Coca-Cola. I'm just drinking a Coke. I took an early dinner. I got back here. Wanted to do this video, do a little research video. So that's what we're looking at. So I'm going through these scans. Like I said, that's my first scan that I do. And I did that yesterday. We didn't come up with too much. I think we came up with, what was the best bet? I think we came up with Baba, believe it or not. Alibaba's being the best bet for today, based off of some of our scans and stuff, and some other tech stock. And it wasn't a hard call, but we definitely got lucky on the news. Definitely got lucky on the news. Deutsche Bank is something I'm watching going forward, so I'm going to put that down on my future stocks, DB. It's a cheap one, but I always like trading it. But as you can see, most of these stocks here are kind of topping out, maybe rolling over. You don't want to step in front of this downward slope, sloping movement. There's a couple that are bucking the trend. Dexcom, diabetes stock, Brinker holding a trend line. This will become easier, and you'll get to see this. The more and more you do this, the more and more you'll appreciate the research like this. I am currently in a short on Facebook. It is showing good relative strength. It's not breaking down. I was hoping for a follow-through breakdown. I have a week on it, but still like to see it. That's my only hedge against this market going down. But you can see a lot of these stocks here consolidated up in the top. Nothing big. The big setups were back here when we have a divergence back here and a nice run. Is there something that's setting up here on General Mills? Possibly. Possibly General Mills might be setting up here soon as a divergence. I want to put that on the future stock, GIS, knowing that we're probably going to look at all those stocks here sooner than later. Even Google is very strong. I mean, you can see the strength holding above the 20-period moving average. I marked these. That's the other calendar. That's the other column also. It is called the triple stochastic flag setup. So there's one setup that's not really a pullback play, but it's what we call a triple stochastic flag setup, and is where the market here is pulling back, but holding above the 20-period moving average. And as the stochastics rotate down close to that 20 line. Now we're nowhere close to that 20 line, but we're nowhere close to the 20-period moving average either. Either way, this is smelling strong. Either way, it's a very strong stock. I'd watch it for a breakout. There's a potential. There's definitely a potential there on options. I think it's a big potential. So let's just continue. Like, see where we're going. G's, and there's things that we're passing up I could talk about. But nothing really just standing out. Again, our golden ticket, our holy grail type of trade is that nice little divergence trade. Unless we see that, IP is a future trade. That's going to be on the HPS watch list with a trend line. This is going to be a perfect wedge pattern down here. But we have to wait for it to get down here. And I don't know if I want to short that either, because it's just, sometimes we already have a 5 to 7 day pullback. We could bounce back up, but I'd take this if it got down here. I'm not betting that it's going to get down there. I just want to be ready for opportunities. The IWM, the Russell 2000, very strong pullback, holding the 20-period moving average. This actually looks quite bullish. Yeah, we're getting a pullback, we're getting a rotation. But one big candle here can push this thing back to highs and off to the races we go. Now here's one that I like. I want to put this on the HPS setup here. I'm actually going to do a chart on this. This is a tough one to put on there because it's a cheaper stock, but it has a couple things going for it. It has a very organized pattern. Just a nice downward tight. We're holding that 50-period moving average. We pulled back through it multiple times. We have a downward trend line that's kind of coiled up. We have a series of lower highs. Lower highs here pushing down. When the lower highs are ending with a divergence here. So this is the key. This is our trigger. This is where you have to eventually pull, other than the weak link of this whole chart is the stock. Is this friggin' ETF on coffee that has light volume, it gaps around. But other than that, you have to look at this as a viable trade. But I will give you a free pass on this one because of it's an ETF, a coffee ETF. All right, but I'm going to put it on the watch list, and I'm going to probably take a trade in it, even if it's just a couple hundred shares. Just to be in it and maybe a move up to $16. I think we could get there. So JO here is on the watch list. Believe it or not, I am putting it on the HPS watch list. I'm probably going to end up taking this. This is a gapper. Probably you're not going to get your, you just got to take a position in it either way. You're not going to be able to get a breakout on this, or, you're either going to gap up or you're going to gap down. And even if it gaps down, I'd probably, if we're still holding this little divergence, a higher low. This one's under the 20 line, but this one's definitely very close to giving us that divergence. It is a divergence. It is. So I like it. I like this one. I like it. I want to put it on the HPS watch list, and I want to take it. I'm going to take about 200 to 300 shares in it, and we're going to look for $16 on it. All right. Let me pause the video here so I could set up that chart right now. I'll set up the chart, and I'm going to show it to you. I want to set up the chart with you, by the way. When I do my alerts, and when you get the HPS watch list, let me show you an example of the HPS watch list. If you're not familiar with it, the HPS watch list goes to the members of Day Trading Radio, and it's our setups based off of this research. Let me see if I can bring this over. All right, where are we here? We'll call it this right here. Current HPS setups. All right, so each setup that we put gets listed into the HPS sites. There's a tab on your dashboard that gives you these setups. Now, as you can see, we've been, these HPS setups, they go out every week. Anytime one sets up and I put it in, they're an active trade, and I get into most of these. If it hits green, if the green is triggered on it, to set up means that the setup is active, that we're currently active in the trade, or the trade is active. I'm not in every single one, but the majority of the ones I do get into. After the green is triggered, then it opens up either the target, which is gold, or the stop, which is red. And as you can see here, some of them hit the targets, a couple of them hit their stop. This I will say that this stop zone was that February flush. So this was the week of the flush, and a lot of things here just kind of sold off really aggressive. Also, a couple of the stocks in the same sector. I was concentrated on this consumer product sector, the KHC, the Procter & Gamble, and the CHD, all in that sector. All of them got hammered on that. So that's why those are red. No excuses. They didn't play out at all. The other ones, of course, in the gold, they've all played out. And these are some of the recent ones. X-ray is one of the recent ones. So when you see one of these, what you're going to get with the chart is you're going to get a chart that gives you, at the time of the trade, where that stock is. Oh, look at that. That actually hit its target today. Um, you have, and it goes out on the video what we're looking at. There's an engulfing pattern, current entry. If I'm in it already, or I'll give you a buy trigger or a buy zone to get in, where the stop should be placed and where the profit, where you should take your profits at. And then everything gets automated. So today actually, this was on is this a 60-minute time frame? I believe it is. It hit its target, and it's pulled back from it now. Doesn't matter now. That was X-Ray. Under Armour is still active, but a cheaper stock. I do not have a position in this one. This one we call the 2020 trade. It's an HPS playbook play, and we talk about those. Those are the type of setups we label them. You've heard of head and shoulders, and you heard of flags, and you heard of whatever. We label some of our other setups. This is kind of a flag setup, but it's the price holds at the 20-period moving average as the stochastics get oversold underneath the 20 line. That's our 2020 trade. It's usually a very bullish trade, and we look for a move up off of this. Because of the price and the rotation, profits are going to always be harder. You can see we moved up here a little, but then rotated back down. So we're actually filling out this bigger flag. I think the stop is going to hold up pretty good. I still think that we move up higher off of this. I have no position in this. But the truth is, I would probably take a position now if that buy trigger was hit. Now I want to look at a different chart now because I'm interested in it. And looking at, I just noticed something. I still have to get to the Joe chart. But let me just take a look at the Under Armour one more time. Yeah, this is pretty nice down here. And our stop was like right down here. I'm surprised it broke down the trend line, but there was some weakness in the market this week, so it is dragging some things down. Is this the bottom here? Yeah, I think you could buy this down against this trend line. This is still active, and I kind of like it. I want to put it over there on the HPS, even though it's just getting oversold again on the daily too. So that's another thing you got going for it. All right, so let's go back to the other stocks. All right, so I just filled out the chart on the TradingView, and this automatically attaches to our platform, so we're able to track the prices minute by minute and let you know when the buy trigger is hit, or the stop is hit, or the profit zone is hit. So divergence setup in a channel, which is typically a good one. The only, again, not a typical stock. It's a gapper ETF type of lower volume. So I put that little caution in it. I'm going to probably end up taking it because almost it's hard not to take a good divergence. Take care, Anthony. Good night. We'll see you in the morning. Should be an interesting day tomorrow. So I want to save this. I publish it. I have to fill out some things here, what the analysis is. This one's going to be called a Joe divergence. I should put it again, channel divergence. HPS. And that's it. And it goes to a private area, so I lock it up for members only. But I will send it out on Twitter, considering we're kind of doing an open house. And I'm doing this little free thing there. So I'll send it out on Twitter. At Twitter, Day Trading Radio, you'll find that link. Day Trading Radio on Twitter. But I want to post it in the room now too. So it is set up. We have the setup here, and then I put it into the back end, and then everything is good to go. So that is our, added to the HPS watch list. All right, so I added it to the HPS site. We're waiting for it to grab the price with a cron job. Entry price 1475 is our buy trigger. I put that 1490 in there so it doesn't gap up. Target 1550 to 1625. That's the 200 period moving average. Stop underneath that. We'll refresh it, see if it grabbed that price yet. I might have to put it in the back end. HPS index. Let's see what we have under Joe. I know we have a couple of Joes. Bloomberg Coffee ETF. Yeah, that's what I have. All right, so it's good. All right. So we're going to continue on here with our research. So we were just continuing on. We're going through a research session. Found an HPS. I'm showing you how I find these. This is just a beginning scan that I'm doing, going through most of these stocks. Kellogg's interesting, actually, down at this level. Been seeing a lot of weakness in the Kellogg, the KHC, and all the consumer product setups here. Kimberly-Clark, etc. Coca-Cola, not good. But again, most of these stocks here seem to be a little, well, long in the tooth, a little tired, a little not at new highs, starting to maybe roll over. Mondelez here, so that's the concern going forward. There might be some shorts out there that might be even better. Monsanto came out with, what happened to Monsanto? It did get a smackdown. I think it was the Bayer merger. It was going to run into problems. Monsanto got hit on that. Acquisition from Bayer. It's going to run into issues. Rubbermaid's interested, but that's the concept here. And again, like I said, I went through a lot of these. PepsiCo was a divergence. Went over that today. We're still waiting for the real key setups. Here's proof point, and all the cybersecurity stocks are actually looking very strong. So you might want to concentrate on those. This Sedge here is a Solar Edge. I don't know what this one does, but it's just been going up. Schlumberger. I'm going through these pretty fast. You can see how fast I go through these visual confirmations and stuff. State Street Bank. The financials actually look good. Seagate storage devices look great. We're going to see that Veru's show up on the chart here soon. Might as well talk about it when we get to it. I want to show you another way of scanning here. Veru here. It looks good, right? It does look good. I mean, everything you look at, like about a stock, holding the 20-period moving average, great strength, insider buying, everything looks great. So this continues to be one of the best bets on my on my sheet, definitely. And that's a cheap one. Whirlpool here is kind of a short for me. I didn't take the short, but I'm looking at it. I want to write it down so I don't forget it on my futures trades. Or I'm going to actually write it in my short column. Whirlpool. What was the Whirlpool? WHR. Possible short. I like that short. Waste management. I always like that long. And you can see we're not that far off the highs. I like that too. So let me put it on the futures chart here. It's holding good relative strength. And that's I just went through about 203 stocks. 200 with you real fast. That's how fast I went, real fast. But we were able to pull out a couple on that. Now the next area I'm going to do is a couple scans that I run. I want to look for the stronger stocks. They're called the MyScan strong trends with oversold stochastics. So this is a scan that I just put in that the price is holding the 20-period moving average. Yet the stochastics have rotated back down underneath 20. These tend to be bullish flags. So here's an example, HPQ rotating back down, holding the 20-period moving average. You can see the look of this is like a flag. And again, doesn't mean everyone's going to be traded. We're going to take a visual look at them. Scripps Network, that was taken out, taken over, it's done. TJ Maxx. Retail stocks, I stay away from retail. Yeah, right? I've always been against the penny stocks, but, you know, what are you going to do? So we did a couple of those scans. The next thing I want to show you is the Finviz. Now, I don't use Finviz as much as I used to, but I want to touch base on it tonight because that's the theme of the night is research. So I want to show you some great research possibilities with Finviz.com. Now, Finviz.com is just a website. It's a free site. You can pay for a premium service on it. You know, that's up to you. But you get most of the services for free. But they give you ads. You know, there's a lot of ads if you're not getting rid of those ads with a premium membership. But that we could deal with ads, right? All right. Well, first of all, it's Finviz.com, Finviz.com. This is the front page. If you go all the way to the right, there'll be a chart. I don't have it all fit on my page here, so. And that's our sector map. It starts with the S&P 500, but really that's just the look of the front page. What I'm really paying attention to on this page, we go back up and we see Finviz. This group of tabs right up here, and I'm going to go to Screener, the Screener tab right there. Now, before we even go there, there's a lot of information to be had on this. There's a lot of information, volumes and signals. A lot of screeners are done and just thrown in front of you. So if you want to take a fast look at like top gainers of the day, unusual volume for the day, you could hover over them and you actually see the charts, which I love because a lot of people like to trade this. I mean, this went from $6 to $12. DXR. What the hell happened with there? Medical instruments and supplies. That went from $2 to $20. That's where we want Veru to do. That's what I want Veru to do. That's what's going to happen with Veru down here. We're going to get a pop to $6 consolidation up to $20. Ah, yeah, that'd be okay. People owe me some dinners then. I'd be taken out. Anyway, that's what dreams are made of right there. I don't know what's going on with that one, but just to tell you, I mean, you can find a lot of stocks that are moving. Just hover over them. You'll see the candles. And these stocks do move when they got, I don't know what, I'm very curious to see this DXR, medical instruments and supplies, 55 million shares. I don't know if that was the volume or is that the float. Must be the. I want to check what the DXR. I want to check what that volume. I mean, what the float is. Hold on. Up 71%. Oh my God. Volume, average volume, 111. Has the same type of volume that Veru has. Let me do the statistics. Or maybe it's a profile, forget the market statistics. Oh, wow. No. Shares outstanding. The float is 614,000 shares. 614,000 shares. Shares outstanding 3,079. I mean, 3.79 million. So that was why that thing here took off. I mean, that was light, very low float, just took off on any type of news. Easy to push higher. These other ones though went up nice here. This one went up from $5 to like $10 and pulled back to $7. But anyway, the reason I'm showing you this is there's a lot of good information just on the front page here. New lows, top losers, most active. You can see volume spikes. Lots of times you get follow through. So this KBHS or AMLP, there might be some follow through trades to be. You just have to do your research and be that type of trader. They also have signals over here, which is good. But I go right to the screener. So go to the screener, click on that. All right. All right, so you have a nice selection of inputs here that you can mess around with. I go right to the technical level. I'm a pattern trader, so first thing I like to do is easy enough to visually find out. It's easy enough. So I go to technicals, over all the way on the right. You'll see patterns right here, and you can click on the pattern tab. You could change other things, moving averages. There's a lot of stuff here to use for free. Especially you could do your own scans for free. If you want a stock, you want to find a stock that's trading above the 20-period moving average, off the highs, volume is up. I mean, there's just tremendous things fundamentals. You could find stocks here that have very low floats, growth, PE. Everything that you need to know, you could pretty much put it in here. Dividends, market caps, target prices, current volume. You want to find a stock that's above a certain price. You don't want to trade stocks over $100, so go above $100. Country, there's a lot of stuff here. But going back to the technical level, setup here. Go to pattern. I like the strong wedge down. I tend to go look at it. And what's going to happen is going to give you all the stocks that are kind of in this wedge down setup, but you can't really see them. And it takes too much time to just put this on it and just say. And plus, I don't want to go through all these. It's 109 stocks. So the first thing I want to do is I want to move my market cap over here to the highest market cap down to the smallest. So I want to get rid of the real cheap crap. I want the best of the best. And we tend to have those bigger market cap stocks to be more of the well-known stocks that I like to trade. So I put the market cap highest to lowest. And that's about it. You could look at the PE. You could set some things up. This is not bad. But then I'm going to just go click on another sub-tab here. It's called Charts. So let's take a look at the charts here. And then when you do charts, it's going to give you that same order, but it's going to actually now give you the charts, and it's going to give you the channels. So here you have a great little look at, again, you're going to get a lot of ads with it. But all these stocks from highest market cap down to the lowest, the 109, you could continue to scroll through. And easy enough to, when you trade long enough, you're looking at a certain pattern playing out. You start to see them, the downward trend lines, the divergences, the TLK. Insight is interesting, INCY. It had a breakout. A lot of these things break out to the upside of these patterns. So we'd like to, maybe get something set up here properly. So that's one way of looking at them. And then I'll write them down and I'll come back to them. I'll see CM and TLK. CM and TLK. So I'll just go over to my other chart. And I'll just put in CM because I like to dissect it on my own and see what I could see on my own without being influenced by their chart their trend identification algorithms and stuff. And I want to see if I could start to see stuff. And typically we're pretty much spot on. I want to see if there's a divergence. you still might have a wedge pattern. I still might not like it. You know, we need to have 3 or more of the indicators lining up in a 5-indicator system. So this, you know, this is not even a really good wedge. So I'm probably going to pass on that. But I wanted to at least look at it. Again, the TLK is the other one. Let's take a look. Yeah, just looking at it for the last year, it's been kind of drifting down. Has a lot of gaps in it. It's not a very active stock. I don't like it too much. So I'm not looking at that. Definitely like the Joe better than both of those combined because of the divergence and the stochastic and the channel and being in it before and knowing how it moves. Downward channels break out, especially on divergences. So that's going to be interesting to see if we get something out of this. Now, Viljar reminded me to look at the other thing. So that's one. That's a wedge down scan. Let's go to another wedge down. This is not as steep, but we're going to keep the. So you can see it gives you a different look at it. Citigroup's interesting, right? You can see that top trend line's holding up pretty good on Citigroup. Merck, I'm not seeing that anyway. You know, it's just looking at it. It's a fast way of getting a bird's eye view of some patterns. They don't have to work out for you. You don't have to like them. Just something. And then I'll go down to the channel down or channel up, strong channel. I do strong channel down. Regeneron, not really interested in it. C-Trip already popped. Dish, not interested. I mean, these are nothing that interests me. And then a regular channel down is a little different. Toyota Motors, interesting. Tata Motors, it's interesting to see GM. Lots of times we'll find that certain stocks in the same sector will have the same exact patterns, and they'll show up on the same scans. That's also interesting to see that. Nothing jumping out at me here. Organized on the PEG. CBS, we're down here. That's interesting too. But as you can see, we're just going through the scans. Channel down. We did our wedge down. They even have a multiple bottom, and they also have an inverted head and shoulders pattern, which is a bottoming head and shoulders pattern. And I'll just show it to you. And they kind of try to identify it. Here's your head, left shoulder, right shoulder. But again, that's something to be taken with a grain of salt on this one. But you know what I did like here, if we go back to the home, I did like this big gainer here. I wonder what the news was behind that. This one here too, big pop. Some big pops, so cheap stocks. I can only feel that's on our way. All right, well, let's return back to the Finviz chart here. Took a little break there for some music. Again, here you're at the top of the thing. You have home, screener, and stuff. So another good, again, if you click on that map over here, the map will turn into a bigger map. And from that big map, you could actually gather some information also from the markets. So I want to show you another trick that I use to kind of find some setups. Now, I don't mind buying, weak stocks as long as they're quality names and they fall into what we call a pullback phase in a bigger trend. So let me fix this. Sorry. That's pretty good. It's pretty close right there. So this map here is a daily overview of the S&P 500. So if it's red, it closed red. If it's green, it's closed positive. The darker the red, the deeper the cut of the price, and the brighter the green, the higher the move on the stock. And it's a one-day performance. If you look over on the left, it'll say one-day performance here. So that's what we're going to pay attention to over here. Now you could also look at the world markets. You'll get that same thing, Canada and different ETFs, and then we have full and the S&P 500 and exchange traded funds also, which is good. U.S. leveraged funds. It's actually a good resource here, because you can actually look at U.S. index, international, and you could click on it. I'm sure you could actually see exactly which ones are which. Like here, fixed income. All right, here, let's take a look here. Small cap, Russell 200. It'll tell you which one it is. Something like here, consumer staples, select. XLB, basic materials was down today, so the ETF would be down. Gold miners are dragging us down. All right. So anyway, there's a lot of things to be seen on that. So I go back to the S&P 500, and again, looking over to the left here where you have the ad showing up, and then I usually go down to, remember, we're looking at things that are labeled on the S&P or tend to be better names. And I'm going back and I'm looking at here the different time frames going back. And typically I'm looking at a 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month pullback. And I usually go with the 3 month. And we look at that 3 month, and then you could now, just looking at the 3 month time frame, gauge what has been moving down for the last 3 months or what's been moving up. Pretty easy, it's kind of an easier way of looking at things. Let me zoom in here and fix my charts here a bit. Now, I'm not seeing everything, but you get the picture here. And actually, if you scale over some of these, click on them, the charts will come up, and you can see, a fast view of what you're looking at. All right, so the Procter & Gamble, just looking at that possible setup going into tomorrow. If we have that divergence, we're still waiting for those divergences to really cut in here. Now, we went over the main scan that I do. Then we do some of the individual scans that I have already set up, but I have those all automated on the right-hand side. I want to do another fast little scan that has about 65 stocks in it. Let's see what it looks like. And I'm going to go through some of these. The PCG has been an interesting character. I'm really still looking, concentrating on the divergences. That is the go-to trade. Trying to stay out of junk. I know certain things are going to work really well. That coining off of that lower trend line, it's bounced nicely. It's pulled back. It's still holding the coining. But again, not seeing the setups I would normally see in this market. Probably needs probably another week, a few more days. Nielsen, we do like the Nielsen bounce off of that lower trend line. That was a divergence setup, and you can see the directional trade on that. That's holding a profit for us. It's a nice tight consolidated, not selling off too much, so it actually looks quite good still. I mean, it's an active trade right now. I'm holding it, and it was off of the divergence setup. So showing that divergence still is, is the way to go. Just have to wait for the next ones to set up. All right. 37. Campbell's soup is interesting down here. Well, there's even a better. That's a weekly chart here. Weekly's gotten its butt kicked here. Just watching it, not don't know where it's going to go from here, but it's a nice pullback on the weekly lower trend line. 200 to push back. Another thing sometimes I do is I'll take those. Normally I'm doing my scans and I'm placing my scans on the S&P 500, but remember, there's a lot of other indexes you could place your scans on. So I have a 9-3 divergence scan, which is a tighter scan, but I can actually go to it. Right now I have it set to scan just the S&P 500 component stocks, but I can actually maybe put it on the NASDAQ 100 and see if there's any different, if I get any different setups. No, I didn't. Let's see if I could get any different setups on all U.S. stocks. And here you'll probably see a lot of crap. So sometimes I'll go to that. There's only 18 stocks that qualify as a divergence on the 9-3 out of the thousands of stocks that this thing is scanned. And what I'm going to do here is just click on the price, and the best thing I do is go for the biggest price. I mean, most of these are not going to be that great. Look at the volume is not that great, or go to the volume even. Maybe the highest volume might be better. It's not the best way of doing this. But sometimes you can find something that's under the radar. Like CH, yeah, but I'm not seeing anything here, so I'm not going to waste your time. But that's something I pay attention to also. So as I go through all those, cancel, discard. The other thing I wanted to mention one more time, and I used to have a subscription to this, and I, just like anything else, I don't use it enough to justify just always paying for it, so I don't even cancel it. Sometimes it just gets canceled. But it's the IBD, the Investors Business Daily website. Excellent information on that. They have the IBD 50, which are these great stocks. Let me see if I can bring up the website. It's investors.com. And actually, you could probably sneak out some nuggets of information on here, too. There's some good research done. Investors.com. Investors.com. All right? Here it is, Investors Business Daily. Stock list. IBD 50 is really good. But I think it's a paid section here, so I think they give you a few of them. So they give you like a few of them. I don't know what's updated here. They do an update. Like I don't check these, but these stocks are usually really great patterns. If you view all stocks, I don't know how much the I forget what the membership is here. Registration. And your trial. Start my 99-cent trial. Let's see if I can do that fast with my Facebook. Maybe they'll give me maybe I'll do a 99-cent trial just to get the information. Let's see what it is. Do I need a billing address? I just want the digital subscription. I don't need my address in there, do I? Oh, come on. Zip code. All right, let's see. It's continue. I gotta put my card in and everything. Why can't I just push a button that just buys it for me? I don't have to worry about all this crap. Dig out everything. Won't be able to use it until next weekend. It says $28.95. It says here. Sorry, for the first month, it's 99 cents introductory subscription rate here. After the initial month, we will bill your subscription automatically for current monthly rate of $28.95. We will charge you credit card if you have on file. All right, well, that's what it is. It's a great resource. It's probably worth the money. Thanks, Viper. Do you have something that you have? That's what I was looking for. Is this the IBD's Nifty 50? Thank you very much. I was looking, who wants to pay for things? But where is the, where is it? Where is it here? Clears the link. Click on the view all holdings at the bottom. I'm looking for where that is. Oh, top 10 hold. All right, I got it. View all holdings. All right, so that's great. So bookmark that. Thank you very much. Bookmark it. It's a great resource just to have those stocks, and just put them, add them into your watch list. I don't know if you could do that somehow. If you could just import them in there somehow. But let's go through a few of these. Let's go through a few of these right now. I want to actually bring this off the screen, and that way put the stocks in there. I just want to show you the type of stocks that you're getting on this. All right, so I'm going to just do that. CASA, believe it or not, CASA here, CASA. All right, that's what we're talking about right there. That's an hourly chart. That's the daily chart. I mean, that's the type of stocks that this thing is giving you. And it's great to trade these. I mean, they open up new stocks to you. It's really good stuff. Grub, G-U-R-B. I think that had earnings out recently, but that didn't stop it. Grubhub, still looking strong. Great charts here. I would recommend putting these charts in all your, in your rotation and buying the rotations. Sedge, we talked about Solar Edge, information technology. All these stocks on the 50 are just unbelievable. MD. It's finding one that you believe in. $294. Some of these are not going to stop. It just takes a little time to research them. The video's up there. Service Now, NOW. All of them have something in common. They're all holding it above the 20-period moving average. They're all very strong. Palo Alto Networks, Red Hat. Five Below is on this, FIVE. That's interesting. Yeah, it's not a bad chart. I can tell you that. It's holding above the 20. So the Innovator IBD 50 ETF, that's pretty good. Thank you very much for sharing that, because I was just looking at a way of getting around that. PayPal's on that, Baba's on it, Interactive Brokers is on it, Pet Med Express. Let's take a look at that Pets. That's the daily. All right. And you could make this 50 to be your watch list. That's simple enough. You could easily copy, put your watch list. I could put scans on it. I can make divergence scans on it. You know what? I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to add these all to a. I'm sure someone with like skills in like Excel and stuff could probably copy and paste and easily just put it into a chart and then strip out the symbols, and then I could add it easily to my scans. I don't know. I don't have the ability to do that. I don't use Excel or anything like that, but there is a way of doing it. But what I want to do is I want to make a watch list here, add it to it, and then add my scans to it, so I'll know if any of those quality names set up on a divergence setup. That's what I want to know, even on an hourly time frame. So Pets is on there. Let's see, AMD, AMTD, Stamps is on there. I mean, they're all looking Wingstop, WING. I mean, all these. I mean, that the one thing they all have in common is the direction is higher and they're extremely strong. WB. So all you have to do is now is just wait for NVDA here. You know, a decent pullback, and most likely you're going to get a nice spike back up. The Nvidia actually very strong. I would expect a pop here. Let me see if I could do that in text, and then. Skechers is on there, PayPal's on there, Baba, Adobe, MasterCard. Even if you had earnings coming into some of these, like Adobe came out with earnings today, and you see the direction of it, it makes sense that most of these stocks, when the earnings come out, are going to move higher. Square is on there, SQ is on there. Love the Square. Love the Square here. Lucy just got out of her Square, plus 9 points, I think. Still love the Square. So good stuff there. Thank you again for passing that on, because I think we could use that in the future. And I'm going to set up that when I can. I have to figure out. I have the open office. I guess that works. And because it's going out to the members here, there's going to be members watch this. I want to make sure you guys got that website, innovatoretfs.com. You know, it is. It goes to it. It has got a lot of good information on it. Where do we go from here? I got the link from Viper in the room, so it's a better link. It actually cut out the front page. So we went to ETF holdings. I guess it's on there somewhere, right? But here it is, ETF and the holdings and the trading details, and go all the way down the bottom. You have the top 10 or something, and then you click on the view all holdings, and that's where you got them. Take them, strip them out, put them into a list, trade them. You know, watch for them. I want to be holding on to them. I want to be referring back to them. So we'll get to know these a little bit better. A lot of those stocks I'm not familiar with either. You know, they're the new kids on the block. A lot of them are. It's Team. CASA systems. I'm not familiar with that, but I did hear that. I heard about CASA. I'll mention that the market is dropping here. Oh, it is. Market here pulling back now. Hillary Clinton here, breaking news. Is the market moving down on this? Hillary Clinton fractures her wrist after slipping in India resort bathtub, report says. But here, McMaster said to be removed as National Security Advisor. crossing the wire right now. Breaking news. Trump has decided to remove H.R. McMaster as his national security advisor. Boy, you know what? This is crazy. People are dropping like flies. Everyone's dropping off. Could get ugly. He's either building a super team, surrounding himself, or all hell is breaking loose. Anyway, that's part of the research session anyway. There's always news out there that takes what you have and all that work you do and just throws it out the window. Because that's news. That's what news does. So we got the IBD 50. We have the Finviz setups. We have our scans. We have the bubble map, the maps. Any other things I use on my scans. Market here is selling off here, lows of the session. Facebook has been strong all evening. It was kind of drifting higher. All right, so that's about it on the thing. Let me stop this because I want to just stop this video and just mention that. Oh, we're not done yet. Actually, I'm not done. Hold on. We have to go over the HPS watch list that's set up so far. What we're going into tomorrow with. Because this is going to be the first part. And if I see anything new, I want to bring it to you tomorrow. But I wanted to get this out earlier today for tomorrow so people could take advantage of it. So right now we added Joe to it. Joe is actually a trade I'm going to take. Bring it back up on the screen fast for you. It's a divergence setup, a cheaper price stock. Something I don't usually trade. We trade it maybe once a year. And we only trade on divergences, and it's a divergence here. Pretty decent candle, reversal. Buy trigger 14.75. I'm just going to get in it wherever it is, and we're going to try to get $1 to $2 out of it. Simple as that. Stop underneath it. 200 shares. That's the way I'm rolling with this one. LUV currently active. It actually performed really well today after someone mentioned it. It seemed like it just wanted to prove itself. We had a buy trigger, a pullback. It chopped around, but today it actually came back and held right on that trigger. So we're flagging out. We're making our way up to our profit target. Nothing much else to say about that. LUV. The WBT, well built. Still one of the best bets. We've gotten a nice bounce on it. And did it hit its target? It did not hit its target today. The profit zone was 2050. It got up to 2045 maybe. What did it get up to? Oh, that stinks when that happens. Oh, can you believe it? 2047. It got up to 2047. Wow. So if it doesn't pull back from that, I mean, if it pulls back and never gets to that level, just take it off. You know, Jesus. Still have some more upside, but that was basically your trade, 1960 to 2060, a little less than $1. Still, you know, we haven't hit the target officially. I'm going to let it be, but boy, you can see great setup there, great trade. Nielsen still active, still holding. And actually hold up pretty good today. This was the divergence setup. Pretty much has to be divergence to set up on the HPS. Again, just a couple days ago we set it up. It popped, got through our buy trigger. It's holding gains. It's just nothing, nothing exciting. Very slow moving. Not my favorite. So, if it does show some weakness, we might want to bail out of that. The AMT already hit its target. Let's take a look at it. Just American Tower. This was a very nice setup. It was a trend line breakout retracement. And then boom, look at this. It just took off here. Buy trigger, boom. Just took off. Great setup there. Then we have Under Armour still active. I don't even want to go over that. It is still active. I'm not interested in it. It's a flat. Well, actually, I am interested in it now. Remember we said we were interested in now. It's a new channel. There's a top trend line. There's a bottom trend line. Let me show it to you one more time. Let me show you the under armor one more time. UA. Here. You're oversold. You're off the lower trend line. There's a little gap back here. You know, I think it's close enough. But if you close that gap, it's going to bring you down to the trend line. I think the bottom is in here. I honestly do. So I think there is a buy back here. So I'm going to be watching it. It's active right now. I think the stop is going to hold. Fine. No problem. So that's that one. As you can see, this is what it looks like here. Pushed up, pulled back. This lower trend line is just picture a channel. This should head up now. That buy trigger could easily still be an active trigger for anybody who wants to take this trade back above 15.15. I think that would be a good level. That would be a breakout level of this downward channel too. So that's still very active, but I would, if you're not in it, wait for 15.15. X-ray hit its target. Alaska Airlines still active. Now this was an interesting one because it never really took off until recently. We got back up here. Remember, we were chopping around, and just recently it broke out. We've traded this. We took it off into this trend line. So we got a pop, and we took it off into the trend line, knowing that we didn't get to our profit zone yet. But, I just felt really strong about that trend line. And I think we're overextended on the stochastics. And we pulled back pretty hard yesterday. And now today we kind of bounced. But no, not in it anymore. Be a little bit more cautious on that. Ulta Salon, that one had earnings. We did trade that. We got our 110 out of it. What did we get on that? What was it? 210? 110? 210. We got a 210 out of it. We had a target of 215. So this is where we broke out. This is where we took the trade, and we broke out, and we took it off here. Since then, it's pulled back. It hasn't really triggered since this point. That's why this is the only trigger right here. We really have a good buy trigger there at 207.60. It popped up, we took it off, and it pulled back. Not in it. Earnings came out today, and I believe it is currently lower, but slowly grinded back up a little at the end of, 202. 202. Market here at the lows of the session. I think that's about it on our HPS watch list. What's the positive here? What's the best bet? What's the positive tech? Let's see here. Let's see. FRPT here. I haven't been trading that. Still active. No, that hit its target actually. That was a nice flag, 2020 flag. Probably another stock that deserves to be on the IBD 50. Yeah, look at that. Right up there. Then it gapped down on the earnings. All right, so that is it on the research going into tomorrow. Now, there could be new setups tomorrow. I want to send this out tonight, and I'll be in the office all day tomorrow trading with you and updating this watch list. Going out to tomorrow, I can tell you right now, still looking for a reversal in the KHC, but not going to stress about it too much. Tell you the truth, Facebook looks pretty strong going into tomorrow, showing good relative strength, even though I do have a couple puts in it. I have to call it like I see it. Just like we saw the Baba strength yesterday, and then we had a big pop. I'm feeling that Facebook here has a pop coming. Earnings will move, but we'll watch if there's some other setups that deserve to get on the watch list. Right now, I don't see any. So I want to send this out a little bit early, but we'll add to it as I see fit. All right. So let me stop this right now.